How's it going, guys? I'm Henry, and today I'll be running you guys through how to make shortbread Christmas cookies. Another alternative to this is gingerbread, but personally I love shortbread, so that's what we'll be going with today. And ways to make them look nice and green, putting some icing on them, making them look all purdy and Christmassy, and then you guys can make these for Christmas yourself, or you can just, not make them. I'm not going to judge you on that. But anyway, I'll be running you guys through step by step of what we're going to do. First of all, we're going to jump into all the equipment and all the ingredients that you'll need, and then after that we'll just be baking them up, and then we'll be doing the decorating, which will be the fun bit of it. Hopefully you guys do enjoy this, and hopefully you learn a bit, and hopefully this inspires you to make some Christmas cookies. Let's do this.
For the cooking tools, we need a mixer, a rolling pin, a teaspoon, a wooden spoon, a larger spoon, a scraper, 2 baking trays, baking paper, an oven, a timer, a fork, a tea towel or oven mitts, a large bowl for mixing all the ingredients together, a measuring cup, a butter knife, cooling wires for once the cookies come out of the oven so we can cool them off. We also need a sifter, a Christmas cookie cutters, a rounded knife, and the second part of this list is the cooking ingredients. We need 250 grams of butter, 3/4 of a cup of caster sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 2 cups of plain flour, half a cup of rice flour, 1 cup of powdered sugar, 2 teaspoons of milk, 2 teaspoons of glucose syrup, 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and green food colouring. Or you can use different coloured food colouring if you want different coloured cookies as well. Or if you just want to get a little bit fancy, have multiple colours and make them look a little bit crazy. Step 1. Preheat the oven to 160 degrees. Step 2. Measure out 250 grams of butter. Make sure to use the 50-gram measuring markers in order to make it easier to measure out.
And what we're doing here is just cutting the butter into these little pieces so that the mixer doesn't get caught on the big bits, and so that it mixes all through nice and evenly, because we don't want any big hunks of butter, and we just want it to go through all at the same consistency.
The next thing we want to measure is 2/3 of a cup of caster sugar, and we want to add that to the mixture. Lastly, we add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Make sure that when you measure it onto the spoon that you hold it over the bowl so you don't get any on your bench, and we get as much into the mixture as we can. Now that everything is in the bowl, you now have to blend it all together in the mixer until it is white and fluffy and the yellow colour of the butter fades out. Step 3. While that nice white fluffy mixture from the previous step is mixing, the next step is to add the flour. We begin by first measuring out 2 cups of plain flour and sifting it into the bowl. Then you add half a cup of rice flour, also sifted, into the same bowl. We then spoon the flour into the mixing bowl little by little so that the mixer doesn't send flour all over us. Also, be sure to turn the mixer to a lower setting before so that the same floury scenario doesn't happen.
Right. Get out all of that delicious dough, and we just want to mash it all together. One big dough ball. Alright, what we're going to do now is cut this big ball of dough in half so we can roll it out so it doesn't explode all over the place, going out all sides of the baking paper when we go to roll it. So just try to find about halfway. Doesn't need to be exact, but as close as you can, just so we can follow the recipe as close as possible. Alright, we'll get our baking paper down like that, pop in there, squish him down a little bit. He'll still be a bit crumbly, that's fine. Alright, we'll pop another bit of baking paper on top. And then what we're going to do is get the roller and just roll that out nice and flat. See, this is why we halved it, otherwise this would be going absolutely everywhere right now. Alright, just keep on going until you got it nice and flat. Ideally we're looking not too flat, we don't want a pancake mixture, but we're looking for probably half a centimetre in height, just so we can get some good looking cookies. We want to keep them all about the same height. if we can, just so they cook through nice and evenly as well. Alright, it's starting to spill out from the sides. That looks about good to me. Alright, now what I've got here are some little stainless steel shapes. You can pick these up at any homeware store or any sort of kitchen store, kitchen outlet or anything like that. Should be able to pick those up somewhere. I've got some Christmassy ones, of course we're doing Christmassy cookies. Got the star, gingerbread man, shortbread man, and then we've got a Christmas tree, of course, as well. We're focusing on the Christmas tree today because that's what we've got all the decorations for. So we're just going to be doing some Christmas trees, and we'll do some little men as well, see if we can give those a go, try to decorate those nicely, but we'll be focusing on the Christmas tree. Anyway, so what you want to do, just grab one of these. I'm sure you all did these as kids. Push down on it like that, and we'll just fill up this whole lot of dough with these little imprints. Alright, now we've got all those imprinted. We just want to see if we can carve these out. Try not to break them. If we lose a stem, I'm sure we'll be alright. I'm sure it'll still taste good. It just won't look quite as nice. What I've got here is a curved knife. That's so we just don't rip the dough open when we go to get these out. But it just makes it a lot easier to pick it up like that, and you know we're not cutting it or cutting the baking paper underneath. Alright, this recipe that we're doing now will probably make about 25 to 30 cookies, depending on how patient you are getting these, using the most of your dough as you can. Dough is always fun to eat if you want to eat it. Tastes good. But what we're looking for at the end of this is a tray of cookies, not a stomachache. Alright guys, we just cut out some Christmas trees, and as you can see we've got a nice big full tray here, and we're just about to chuck those in the oven for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to flip them and then chuck them in for another 10 minutes. So 20 minutes overall, depending on the quality of your oven, but you don't want them to burn because they do brown up nice and quick. Alright guys, 20 minutes has been up, and now we're just going to get the cookies out of the oven. So this is what your cookies should look like. We've got a nice little brownish crisp on the outside, just to let us know that they're nice and cooked, as you can see here. But these are looking good, fresh out of the oven. Look on the other side. And look, there's a little bit of brown on the outside, but nice and white on the inside. Perfect shortbread right there. Recipe's working great so far. Let's see what happens with the icing.
The next part of the recipe that we'll be doing is the icing. For the icing, we first measure out 1 cup of powdered sugar, also known as icing sugar. We then add 2 teaspoons of milk to the icing sugar and stir the 2 ingredients until they are smooth. Then you must add 2 teaspoons of glucose syrup with 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract until the icing is smooth and glossy. All of this mixing should be done with a large spoon or a wooden spoon. Once the texture resembles icing, you can then add the food colouring. The colour depends on what you are making, but for this recipe we are just going with green. Now that you have your icing prepared, you can begin to ice your shortbread. Before icing, make sure they have cooled down first. Here is how my Christmas shortbread turned out. I can tell you honestly that it is fun to make and it tastes amazing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon.